Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com.
Today we have some really awesome guests. These guys are all in B&I with me, and I am very grateful to have them here. We have Preston Lawson with Primetime Land Services, and we've got Ben Musselman with Musselman Painting, and then we have David Baker with Baker Waste Services. We also want to give a little shout out today to a couple other people that I wanted to be a part of this, but unfortunately they're so busy after the hurricane they were not able to make it, and that would be Timothy Jones with he does the roofing, and then we have, which we would like for him to start, like Timothy Jones Roofing, right guys? Wouldn't that be cool? And then we have Colton Houston. He does restoration cleanup and I guess like the water restoration, so he gets everything dry and cleared and cleaned out and replaced the wood and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, they weren't able to make it today, but we love them, and they have been a big part of this team as far as cleaning up after the storms. First today I would like to talk to David, talk about your business and what all you do and what all you offer.
Well, thank you, Karen, for inviting myself and colleagues of mine that we work, obviously, like you said, well together, based on our industries, kind of meeting each other's needs that way. Baker Waste Services is a dumpster rental company. We are a veteran-owned small business headquartered right here in Conroe, Texas, USA. We specialize in 30 and 40-yard dumpsters to clients ranging from contractors of any on all types, be it home or commercial construction, businesses that might have some dumpster needs at their locations, and then also homeowners who might be tackling a little bit larger projects.
Okay, and so with those projects, they can have them for a day, 2 days, long periods of time. And you can charge different rates for that.
Exactly, yes. So we like to provide lots of flexibility to our customers, and we have the ability to tailor our dumpster rentals to their needs. So we offer 3-day rentals, 7-day, 14-day, and then also even month-long contracts if that's what the project needs to do. Absolutely.
And then on those projects, you can get into tight spaces, like, if somebody's, flipping a house in Houston and they've got a tiny little, 1-car garage with a little tiny driveway, y'all can bring a dumpster out there.
We absolutely can. The dumpsters that we serve our clients are the 30 and 40 yards. So these are larger dumpsters, but even with their size, the trucks that we utilize, it's pretty surprising the small spaces that we can actually navigate and maneuver them into. I know, Preston, we've done some projects together with removing some trees where we had to move these dumpsters and nestle them up close to houses and garages on some pretty tight driveways. It might take us an 18-point turn to be able to do it, but we absolutely have that capability, sure.
Awesome. What if it rains? What if the dumpster fills up with rain? How does that work?
Yeah, so one of the factors that goes into play with dumpsters is the debris that goes in there, and at least from our perspective, and we try to educate customers all the time that a lot of it has to do with the weight of the debris versus really what you're putting in. Obviously, we're not talking about hazardous materials, but the weight is a major factor in terms of being able to get that dumped, and how that cost translates to the customer. And so rain is a big factor, and it's one thing that we always try to watch out for. If you fill up a dumpster and then you put a bunch of a 2-inch rainfall event happens, then that's going to be a lot heavier of a dumpster. And what we always try to do is if it's a rain event that happens when we do a pickup, then we try to provide a discount, 25% discount on the weight that we get at the transfer station or landfill, just so that we accommodate, we'll eat the cost on at least a portion of that on that rain event. Absolutely. The other thing to note is we always, we will drain that dumpster.
I was going to ask you, do you drain it?
So when you're, if there's you don't want to take standing water anywhere. And when you lift these things up, you're at an angle that will drain out, and we, have the ability to sit there and wait for the water to drain out.
Awesome.
It doesn't mean that the debris doesn't get saturated.
Right.
And so it is
if you have
something
furniture or wood or
yeah.
anything in there, it's going to be heavier.
Absolutely. One advice to consumers, regardless of if you're using us, is to pay attention to that, the weather. And if you have a dumpster on site and you're thinking, ooh, you know what, why don't we have it swapped today because tomorrow is going to be a pretty big rain for the next 3 days. It could be a substantial increase in weight. So you might think about having it taken out early.
Maybe I should invent like a tarp to go over them or something.
Yeah, you can absolutely tarp them. They have the ability to be tarped, and
it's a big tarp.
Yeah.
What if the tarp fills up with water too? Then that's a problem, right? It's like covering your out. We used to have an above ground pool. It was huge. It was like 30 foot by 5 foot or something. It was massive. It had that cover that goes on it, and then when it would rain, it was like
same thing
stuck.
With a boat. When you try to cover your boat.
True.
Yeah.
Unless you have like a ski boat, then they had the thing in the middle.
Yeah, I wasn't lucky enough to have that.
But yeah, that's awesome. So y'all been pretty busy after the hurricane, just working that, kind of pivoting towards helping people, making sure they get cleaned up and get moving on.
Absolutely. It's in our industry, I think everybody has similar mindset where it's a very unfortunate tragedy that happens, and then all of a sudden, we get all the calls to come in and start doing work, and so it's kind of a strange blessing where you say, we don't mind obviously the jobs,
right,
but you also appreciate the fact that you go into a place, and the places we rolled up, Preston, and literally it's the little old lady who's got a tree in their living room or their garage, and they're pretty touching situations. You do kind of feel like somewhat of a hero to say, okay, we can come on site.
Take care of it.
And the benefit here is that we can kind of direct them and says, well, I know a tree guy, I'm the dumpster guy, and I know a guy that can help paint afterwards, and a guy that can get this water out of your house. So that's always nice to be able to have that arm, to be able to provide them some direction there.
Yeah. People need help. A lot of people are still sitting waiting for help. It's crazy. I was reading something the other day that there's still a lot of people that are displaced and don't have their homes, are still without power or without repair, and still have trees in them. And I'm like, wow, it's been a while. But anyway, thank you for that. I think we're gonna talk to Preston. Tell us a little bit about what's going on with you. I know y'all work side by side, hand in hand, kind of cleaning up everything.
Yeah. This is Preston, Primetime Land Services out of Conroe, Texas. We're a small family-owned business, and we do commercial and residential dirt work, tree work, drainage work. We've worked a lot with David Baker during the storm. It's a feast and famine in all our worlds. It's when you're busy, and when you're not, you're not. And an unfortunate thing such as a storm, it puts you to work, but you also want to make sure you're not taking advantage of people, because during that storm we saw so many people taking advantage of people. There was tree companies in the woodlands putting cranes on houses to take trees off for $15,000 to $20,000 a tree, and some people can afford that, but the majority of the people can't.
Right.
And for instance, like the one David was talking about, it was an 84-year-old woman. Her name was Miss Betty, and they want to come charge her $20,000 to take a tree off her house, and we did it for less than half. And it was a big tree. It was a lot of work. It was 3 or 4 guys. David brought his dumpster out. We got that tree off her house, and we got everything else in the dumpster she needed to. And she was elated with what we did. But it was just, and she was willing to pay that big money. And that's what kind of tore my heart. Like, how's everybody out here taking advantage of these older folks? They're living on their money invested.
Right.
So.
I think people just think that the insurance is going to pay it. They don't understand that they have to pay a percent.
It's not even a percent. So insurance, when that storm came through, insurance clearly stated a reasonable amount.
Right.
The reasonable amount is a reasonable amount per the insurance, not your
Right.
reasonable amount, not my. Because some people make $7 an hour, some people make $2 or $3 million a year. So reason financially is a difference in both of those worlds.
Right. So the insurance isn't setting a price for tree
It
removal.
just says reasonable, and they were paying $500 to $1,000 for haul off, and that really doesn't even cover haul off.
Right.
So what I was doing basically is I was bringing David in and giving him the haul off, but what the insurance was paying for haul off for those people, and we were just trying to work with everybody. And to be honest, we're not a tree company.
Right.
But when the storm came, everybody started calling, so we became a tree company during the storm, and we did what we were called to do. Normally we stick just to, like I said, to residential and commercial land clearing and dirt work, which is totally different from going to residential tree cutting. Which
Removing trees from people's houses. That's pretty touchy.
We can do it. I mean, we have full confidence, full capabilities. We can do it. It just wasn't our avenue we were going at the time.
Right.
But we kept getting the phone calls, and everybody was just kept calling and calling, and the list got long. During the storm, we were so busy, people were calling, and some of the people I knew, I didn't recognize their voice. I'm like, hey, send me a text message with your name, number, address, and what you need. I will get back to you, because I couldn't even keep up with the phone calls. It was 50, 60 phone calls a day just from people.
Wow.
And we got to them as they can come. And money's tight, and the way we operate was like, hey, you put a deposit down, you're next on the list. It's just, that's how we have to do this.
Right.
So
Were you prepared for the hurricane?
I was.
Did you think that all these trees with this little, I know a lot of people were like, oh, it's just a hurricane, it's a category 1 hurricane. I think a lot of people just kind of blew it off. It wasn't even supposed to hit our area. And then it kind of turned at the last second. And I think a lot of people were unprepared, just weren't prepared.
So I was born and raised here, and that was one of the worst windstorms I've ever seen from being from this area. There's always hurricanes every year. There's always the possibility. Normally they'll come up the hook, go to Louisiana, and we go help Louisiana out, and Louisiana helps us out when we need it. In my personal opinion, I don't know what's going on, but the past 2 or 3 years, our storms have been the worst they've been around here.
The wind and stuff.
The wind, the rain, tornadoes, just like in Texas in general, it's the weather's changed. It's been the worst in the past couple of years. But like this one, if it was just a Cat 1, imagine it being a Cat 3 or Cat 4.
Right.
And a lot of this stuff too with the trees, I blame. There's a lot of development going on here. There's a lot, and these guys are coming in. These bigger companies are coming in. And they're stripping the land down. When they come in and root rake around all these trees and put homes in, they've killed the root systems of half those trees. So those trees aren't stable like they would be just naturally being there.
Right.
So a lot of that stuff, like
well, it's not just other trees. Like when you even, and people don't, I don't think people know this, but like just cutting down mushrooms. Mushrooms are actually connected to the root system as well for the trees and how they communicate with each other and the strength. And so people go in and cut all the mushrooms out of their yard, and they don't understand that those are connected to the roots of their trees.
I cut all the mushrooms out of my yard.
I know. But it does weaken the system. It has something to do with communication.
It's the same thing as when people come in and they're like, oh, I'm going to stump grind. Well, they don't understand is they're getting rid of the top of the stump, but the root system is still in the ground. So whenever it rains, all that water's still collecting on that same root system, and it's still wet. If you take the stump out, roots out, your area will be dry versus being a wet area.
Right.
But it's just, like I said, there's just a lot of development around. And like even when we had Harvey before. So the things that used to flood pre-Harvey don't flood anymore. And things that didn't used to flood now flood.
Because they changed.
But the wind's a totally different beast. As I was sitting there at the house, and I think it was like 1 o'clock at my house, and the wind started howling around the corner of the house. And I was sitting there, and my wife and our kid were like, I said, that's not a good sound.
Where do you live at?
We live northeast of Conroe, over by the airport, in that area. And it started howling pretty good, and I had my dump trailer hooked up, and Ben's actually my neighbor, but I had my dump trailer hooked up in the driveway.
That's convenient.
As soon as the storm hit, I was gone. And I already had phone calls going, and I went and looked at probably 10 trees that day just to pull off houses, and we started the next day.
Wow.
And then we were busy for a solid week and a half just pulling trees, pulling stumps, dumpsters after dumpsters. And it was a wild week. It was a good week, but it was a wild week.
Yeah.
While she was gone, he was not home for a week.
Yeah, a lot of you guys were very busy.
Yeah, and like I think our BNI group, I made the joke like cousin Tim, because I think Tim and I, there was like 20 jobs we were on together.
Right.
And also Byron. Byron was there.
And Colton.
He called me on some job, pulled 2 or 3 trees off houses for his customers, and it was all a good working relationship. It's just,
Yeah. We have an
it's just
awesome
busy.
BNI group. We have a great team. If anybody's looking for a good team of people, they really are a great team. I hear testimony every week, week after week, about how all of these guys work together and support each other and are dependable and responsible and honest. And that's just, to me, it's rare. I've been in the working world for 25 years. I worked in insurance the first 10. And so I dealt with the insurance company, or I was on the insurance side. I decided I wasn't going to sell my soul to the devil anymore, and I left and wanted to be on the good side. And I didn't understand a lot back then and how important it was to have those kind of relationships. I grew up in an area where we had, a lot of floods, and people's houses would get wiped out by the river, and, they would be without homes for, they'd be displaced for months and months and months before they could get people, and they would get ripped off, and they would come in and tell us, and we're like, well, I mean, there's nothing we can do. Like, it's your discretion when you hire somebody. I saw it time over and over and over again, and landscaping too. I've just, all of it. It's just, it's just
Integrity is
great.
a big thing.
Yeah, it's great that I know that I can refer you guys out to people and have you on my show, and know that I'm promoting, good, honest people that are going to take care of other people. And it means a lot for all these people that are still out there that still need help. We've got a great crew here, and we've got Ben. We want Ben to tell us a little bit about his company and fourth generation, 75 years, a long time to be in business.
Yes, my name's
I didn't
Ben.
realize you were that old.
Well, thank you. Yeah. So no, I'm actually turning 39 here in a minute, but yeah, my name's Ben Musselman. I'm a co-owner of Musselman Painting. It's me and my dad and my brother. It was started by my great-grandfather, Ben Musselman, in 1947, and it's been a continuous operation since then. We do interior, exterior, residential painting, and one of the big things with the storm for us is obviously, you don't need our services right after the storm or during the storm. It's more when, finally you have, Preston comes, takes the tree off your house. You have Tim fixing the roof. You have David, hauling everything away. I come in at the very end, and I'll, make sure everything looks good. So it's, you have drywall repaired, I'll paint that. Or if I have any swelling in the, your ceiling, you maybe have shingles coming off your roof, and you have some drips and you have some water spots. That's where I come in. So I'm more of the finishing touches, because my business stopped for about 3 weeks there, and then once all the work started kicking up, that's when I come in to finish up. It's see, they're more of the emergency responses. I'm more getting your
aftermath.
life back to normal. Mm-hmm. So that's where we come in, and that's
And y'all do more than just painting. Y'all caulk it, seal
oh
it,
yes
repair it,
yes
all those little repairs. If they need to put a new ceiling fan in, or
Yes.
new plates for the light switches and stuff like that, you're already removing a lot of that stuff, so it's easy just for you to go ahead and replace it with new stuff, right?
Yes, that's the difference between doing it yourself and having a professional do it. So if you're doing it yourself, yeah, you're gonna paint a wall, you're gonna do whatever you're gonna do. But when you deal with a professional painter, is we will get more intimate with your house than you have or any other professional. Well, unless you have your home inspected
That
to
sounds
sell
very
it.
sexy.
It is. It's very, yes. We see all the dark corners. But yeah, as far as caulking all the right spots, is we can actually see parts that could be damaged or problems in the future. Even if we're painting the exterior of your house, we're going to caulk everything that can cause a problem. We can see where you have wasps that go into the side of your house. We can tell you about that. Any dry rot, usually we fix it right there. You want a light fixture change, we fix it. But yeah, that's just a big deal about having a professional do it, because it's like we really know what we're looking at, and if it's something I can't fix, I have a large network of people that I know will help me
Right.
find the problem and fix it. So I mean, I bounce ideas off of Byron, who's been on the show. He's in the BNI. Preston, I talk to Preston all the time. He's like my dictionary, or like Texas Help for Dummies.
Who do you know? How do you know them?
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but it's exactly. So yeah.
And tell me, Preston, how did you get into this business?
So it was a family business, actually, and it kind of fell apart when I was 15. And I went and pursued some other careers, and I had some really good jobs. And my last job was in the natural gas industry, and they sent me home for about 4 or 5 months paid. And
Nice.
our neighbor, they're in their 50s, they started clearing their back deals. I put a shop in, so they wanted a shop. They're trying to hand clear it, and I walked over and I said, hey, man, rent the equipment, I'll clear it for you. I ain't going to charge you nothing. And ended up doing that. And then the neighbor behind him came, knocked on his door, who did your land clearing, and went and did his, and done some few more, and it just kind of spread.
You're just doing it to help people out?
Yeah, well, my neighbor, everybody else paid, but it's we did good, and we had some stuff going on in the family, and I went back to work for a natural gas company, and then I was doing it on the side. I was doing it on the weekends, and it was consuming all my time, which was a good thing, and it kind of outgrew what I was doing in the pipeline or the natural gas industry, and I was like, okay. And my wife, she's like, you should quit, go on your own. I was like, no, we'll wait. And I was like, she's like, you're scared. I was like, I'm not scared of anything. And I went to work one day, I was sitting there, I was like, yep, I'm scared. So, and I ended up just one day quitting what I was doing and took this full time, and I took it full time in July, of all things, because in your land clearing dirt work business, it dies down from Thanksgiving till end of January, roughly.
Right.
So, I don't know if I was brave or stupid, probably a little bit of both, but took it into July and ran with it, and we made it through winter. And last year was great. This year's been a big blessing, and it's just growing and growing, and meeting good people and having good people behind you that'll push you and tell you when you're wrong, tell you when you're doing good, and you just can't be afraid to laugh at yourself when stuff goes south. If you get mad, there's nothing to get mad
real
about.
friends. Real friends will tell you the truth.
Yeah, and even though you don't want to hear it sometimes, I mean,
Right.
you take it and you're like, all right, we'll get out of my face, and then you go back and you're like, chew on it. You're like, well, they were right, But
That's good that you can admit when you're wrong.
yeah. And having good people, even like David Baker, he started out as a customer. He was a customer. They called me, hey, we got this property we want cleared, and we came over there, and it was on a natural gas field, and I knew the guys out there, and I called them and say, whatever we're going to do, can we do it within here? Because they got a lot of rules and regulations. And we ended up clearing a couple acres for Mr. Baker and put in a 100 by 120 pad for his dumpsters, and he's rocking and rolling.
Wow,
And,
so y'all knew each other before BNI.
yeah, and actually, so he was a customer, and I actually told him about BNI. He had said, well, I've been in a BNI before. I was like, hey, look, it's a little lively for 7 o'clock in the morning, but it's
Yeah.
a good time. And they showed up, him and his wife, Miss Courtney, they came out, and they both thoroughly enjoyed it, and
Yeah.
he ended up joining. So I had to rent enough dumpsters to pay his dues, so I didn't feel bad. But other than that, I mean, I think it's been good
Well,
for
that
him
worked
as
out,
well.
didn't it?
Worked out really good.
And then I ran into him at church when the hurricane happened. We had to have church outside because there was no electricity, and we showed up. Not a lot of people showed up. I don't think that was a priority for a lot of people. We're like, we're going, and we get there, and they're sitting in the row right in front of us. And I was like, my husband's like, is that all their kids? And I was like, I guess so. And he's like, how many kids do you got? He's like, 8. And we're like, oh man, we thought we had a lot of kids. So yeah, it was pretty cool. It was, I kind of, how it all connects, how everything kind of works together, how, everybody meets and
I got him in here.
connects to each other.
Yeah, he got me in. He's like, you want to come to this meeting at 7 in the morning? And I was like, yeah, man. And I put him off for like 2 months. I kept changing it. I was like, I got better things to do. I had commitment issues. I was like, I got better things to do on Thursday mornings. And then I went. I was like, you know what? This is
A lot of
pretty-
people don't want to come that early in the morning.
Well, I went.
That's when work gets done.
Yeah. Well, I went. I was like, this is pretty cool. It was warm, inviting. It was nice. And then we started
It's
offering
loud.
doing fences and concrete to select. Because we don't just go do fences and go do concrete jobs. If it's, hey, we want this cleared out. We want a pad put in for a shop, and we want a fence over here. If it's a one and all job, I'll do it. But I'm not a fencing guy. I'm not going to go chase fences solely. I'm not going to chase concrete solely just because it's not what I do. But when we started doing that, my wife's like, well, if you want to add to your business, this might be a good opportunity for you to do so. And I'm like, again, I got better things to do on Thursday morning at 7 o'clock. I don't know what it is, but I got something better to do. But I ended up joining it, and it's been a blessing. It's been great. Like when the storm hit, everybody just started calling. Got a lot of work out of the BNI. I mean, it's
Our
fully
group meet
baked
was
for
like
us.
ding, ding, ding.
Yeah,
ding,
tree over here,
ding,
tree over here.
ding.
It started out with Fabio, just a tree in the yard. I went over there, it's pouring down rain. I was like, well, they can't get around the tree, so I had to cut the tree out of the road. And I called them and said, hey, when it stops storming, I will come back,
Yeah.
But just so they could get by. It's just, in this county, though, the
And
biggest
even
thing.
Sandra, she's needed a lot of people's help too with all her properties, with her kids, and a lot of people in the group have helped her out. And so I feel like everybody's kind of helping each other out, and it's just nice knowing that you have that little family that you can call and
It's
be
not
there
even
for you.
so much the B&I. This county, once you start getting to know people, it gets smaller
Right.
and smaller and smaller. Because all the good people help each other out, and they weed out the bad, non-reputable people.
It's true. Birds of a feather flock together.
And everybody helps each other out. And that, like, there's a custom home builder that Dave and I both know. I know him from a previous job from a subcontractor, and David knew him from school, I believe.
Yep.
So it gets in that aspect. It gets far. Hey, so I do know
Where'd
that
you go
guy.
to school?
At Texas A&M. So
Oh.
that's where I knew this. We were
I
roommates.
didn't know you had to have a degree for dumpsters.
Well, that's for our dumpsters, I guess. They're Aggie dumpsters. No jokes about.
They are
I have no
orange.
problem with
They are
Aggies.
orange.
I know we don't. I was hoping
They
that
are
she wouldn't
orange
bring
with
that up.
like basically a
They're not
longhorn
that
But
on
there's
them.
there's safety orange.
That's right. There's
And they
not
have a
burners.
longhorn on them.
no. It's not a longhorn. That's just a
That's interesting.
bull.
It's a bull. There's a difference. I went to A&M too. There's a difference.
Exactly.
I like all
all
Texas
this-
schools. I have family all over the state, so I can't really pick. I have a kid who wants to go to A&M in the core. My husband went to TCU. My dad worked at UT for 25 years, and most of my family on his side went to UT. And then my husband's whole family has basically gone to Texas Tech. I have a stepson at Texas Tech, and my granddaddy played basketball at Texas Tech. So we love all schools, that are Texas. We don't have we didn't have a rival. It was kind of nice, there was the A&M Longhorn rivalry for so long, and every Thanksgiving it was, we're all against each other. And I have a lot of friends who are Aggies, and I was glad when they kind of separated, because then we weren't like, fighting anymore. But then I was like, man, I kind of miss it, because it's just fun. It's kind of fun. And like with Texas Tech, you can throw tortillas and stuff. It's kind of fun. It's a fun rivalry. But yeah, I think we should root for all Texas schools. I don't think there should be rivalries. I think if our kids go to college, we should just be happy.
Yes.
Well, we'll see about that.
If they're
Because you never know. My older son wants to go to Texas State, which I'm totally cool with that too. It's less expensive for sure.
But all kids nowadays aren't cut out for college either.
No,
Some are
even
vocationals and,
back when I was growing
you
up,
know.
not everybody was cut out for college. I mean, I was watching something about all these different tech companies and inventors and all these very successful people. Almost statistically, a lot of them were high school dropouts. I mean, look at Albert Einstein. He was F high school dropout, and he's
Well-
Albert Einstein.
Well, a lot of people are visual learners too. It doesn't correlate with the classroom.
I think it just depends on what you want to be when you grow up. If you want to be a doctor, you got to go to college.
I mean, I went to school. I didn't plan on pushing dirt for a living.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably
My-
could have saved a lot of money.
My
But
husband loves pushing dirt. It's like his favorite thing in the whole world is pushing dirt. He wants to do what you do. That's like his dream job, is just to sit in a machine and
you just sit
push
in the
dirt
machine and
around
push
and
dirt around all day.
push
Some
trees
more.
over and build pads and all that kind of
there's
stuff.
there's a lot there. There's a lot of math that goes into it. There's a lot.
Yeah, you can't be an idiot.
Yeah.
Especially if you're building pads for like buildings and stuff.
Well, when everything comes, like you get a set of prints for, like say it's a commercial job, you have to have everything. There's
Right.
exact numbers that you have to go by as far as how it's sequenced and what they call for. And like if you got to lime something, they want 33 pounds of lime per so many square foot or so many inch. And
Right.
you have everything good out. And then they have a third party come in and test the pad, make sure your pad's on compaction. If you get your
Right.
dirt, you gotta make sure your dirt has a proctor on it, passes the proctor, gets in it for approval. Everything and every job's
complicated.
different. And every engineer's different. Some of them are like, oh hey, we don't give a care. Just throw the dirt on top of topsoil. Some are like all topsoil out down to clay, up from clay 6 inches above, 12 inches above road, top of slab.
Right.
So there's a lot that goes into it, and there's lots of ways you can lose your butt doing it if you don't pay attention to those fine prints. Because they're like, oh no, it was the line item, it was in there. You didn't see it. Sorry, sorry about that $20,000 mishap you have here. And
Yeah.
that comes out of your pocket.
Yeah. It's a complicated industry for sure. I guess moving dumpsters is pretty easy, huh?
I thought so, but
It sounds easy to me.
We like to think we make it look easy.
Did you think
But
it was
there's-
easy when you got into this?
Yeah, no, that was one of the real reasons that I thought, I'm an Aggie, I can I can handle dumpsters. They seem pretty easy, but you quickly realize, just like anything, but dumpsters can be pretty complicated.
Yeah. Are there any misunderstandings in dumpsters?
What's cool?
There are. One of the biggest things is we talked about is weight, and I think a lot of people don't realize that when we pick up a dumpster, that debris actually has to go somewhere, and a landfill isn't just a open free for all.
Right.
They actually charge you for
Everything.
Yeah, the
weight,
debris removal.
Right.
Yeah,
They charge by the weight a lot of times.
yeah, it depends
Like
on where you
metal,
go. Yeah,
right?
it depends on where you go. If you do some charged by the weight, some charged by the yard, but it is a cost, and so it's not actually that it's not just that you're renting a dumpster, that you're actually carrying some of the costs
Do you
associated
ever
with
take the
debris.
like if you have trees, like a lot of trees, do you take them to like places that mulch them, right?
Yeah, so that's another component of what we do is we always like to ask customers what they're going to be using the dumpster for, and not that it's any of our business, except for one, obviously you want to make sure that they understand that they're not putting any hazardous materials in it, but two, what they put in could dictate some different benefits. And so if in fact we give better rates for customers who are just going to be giving us brush and tree debris versus a home remodel where they've got a bunch of stuff that actually has to go to landfill.
Right.
If it's something that can be rerouted and we have a better rate for dumping, then we can that helps
Pass that
us
on to
pass
the
on
customer.
those savings to the customer. So
Because as far as his dump fees goes, depending on what it is the dump fees, which doesn't dictate his pricing, but dictates what he has to price it at.
right.
Right.
So if he's got a load of shingles is going to go. Sometimes some landfills don't accept certain stuff, so he has
Right.
he has to take those shingles, like say Waste Management here in town. We'll throw out a big company name, won't accept those shingles here, so he's got to drive to South Houston to a plant. I mean, that's time, money, diesel
Right.
out of his day, so that's going to take a little bit more.
What are hazardous materials? What are you looking for?
So the simple things that everybody understands is obviously any fuels or oils or paint that's not dried up.
Yeah, it's gotta be dry.
Yeah, tires. One thing that I always do is typically
what about
with
things like appliances? Like if
uh,
you're cleaning out a house, or you're flipping a house, and you have all these appliances and refrigerators with Freon and.
Typically appliances are okay. If it is refrigerators, we just want to know about it. And then sometimes we get called out for certain electronics. Have to be handled a little bit differently.
Like what?
But electronics. There are some places that actually have some restrictions on TVs, that you can take, or computers, and then also like fluorescent light bulbs and stuff like
Yeah.
that. You
Beds.
actually can get.
We moved into our house. They left
mattresses.
us like a
Mattresses,
whole bunch of
yeah, we have to pull
fluorescent
those
light
kind of
bulbs.
separate. Yeah.
Mattresses now they're charging like $150 a piece
Why don't you just burn it?
because it's not eco-friendly, ma'am.
It's not.
It's not environmentally friendly at all.
It's not just material, cotton.
No.
Interesting.
What they do, I mean, at the dump site, it'll say $110, $150 per mattress.
What's
Right.
in the mattress that's so bad?
I think, I mean, it might, I don't know, same thing with your TVs. It may be an older thing, like the older tube TVs had more toxic stuff versus the
Yeah.
new flat TVs.
Possibly.
And some of the mattresses, like, so they have metal in them. So if it's
Sure.
like a metal box spring, that's a more metal, and it's not that metal doesn't compress down or fold. Like if you have a piece of angle iron or something, they can fold it up and crush it, and it does. But that may hinder their machines or something. It may be something along with why they don't want it takes up room. Or
Gotcha.
a mattress, if it's in their volume and it doesn't break apart. Because some of those transfer stations, I don't know, and I'm not trying to take your
No,
dumpster
go for
talk,
it. Yeah.
but they're like a big building, they have a trough in the back. So everything's in there, and they have a machine, they push everything in that trough, and the bottom of that trough is an 18-wheeler. And all that trash goes to an 18-wheeler, and it goes they transport it to another thing. That's why it's called a transfer station, because they're transferring it from this to that place. But say they had that big mattress in there, and say David drops off 15 mattresses, Poncho drops off another 30 mattresses, and that's all in the same pile. They push it up in there, it takes up the whole truck, which they could have got X amount of volume, but no, they only got 30 mattresses out of the deal.
Gotcha.
So that may be part of it.
Yeah, we try to work with customers so that last thing you want to do is rent a dumpster and then be told a long list of things you can't do. And what I try to convey to them is, hey, just let us know. We will absolutely work with you, even if it's certain hazardous materials, as long as it's not that much. What we can do is set those aside. And so I always try to coach customers. They yeah, that's fine. If you have tires or something like that you want to dispose of, then we can absolutely work with you on that. But just keep them separate out of the dumpster, because otherwise, we can get in trouble if they find it. One thing that just came up recently was fire debris. Not every landfill actually takes a fire debris.
What's fire debris?
So, like if a house was on fire and
Oh.
it was damaged in a fire, and you had debris that was a result of that fire, some landfills actually deny you access
Why is
to
that?
it. I think it has to do with wanting to confirm that it's been completely put out, as opposed to putting potentially some embers on their site. That could be
Because he can
a
catch his
problem.
dumpsters on fire quickly.
Yeah, there's some ugly videos.
That's
out there
interesting.
about it.
Same thing with
Yeah.
trash trucks. You ever seen a trash truck on fire and they'll dump it out the back wherever they're at?
Yeah.
Because wherever in there is combusted, and this from people putting stuff in the trash they're not supposed to. Like, that's why there's warning labels on everything. Some of it's
didn't
process
realize.
elimination, but some things are. Like, if he has a dumpster fire, the only thing he can do is unload it on the side of the road or open his gates and dump it, call the fire department. Because he's not going to risk his dumpster or his truck because somebody put something there they shouldn't have.
That's crazy. I never thought of that.
And another thing on that burn, because we've done some demos, and they're saying it's a chemical issue. So they want it to go to a landfill, like where you take contaminated soils and stuff like that, because they don't know what was burning in that house they got into that wood. Because a lot of the waste management is full for natural gas burn off. Because if you ever go out there, you'll see flames coming up from little stacks, and they don't want that stuff in there.
Look who's calling me.
Put him on.
Totally would. That was Timothy Jones, guys, calling me. I don't know why, but maybe he heard our shout out already.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, is misunderstandings. Tell me some misunderstandings. Come on, Ben.
No,
You've been quiet.
Yeah, a little bit. No, our biggest misunderstanding of the painting business is touch-ups. So the biggest problem we have, people, they think, they have their paint that they got from the builder. They have the original can, and they're going to go out and they're going to do little touch-ups. You're not going to see it's going to blend in perfectly. That's one of the big things we really try to stay away from, because as painters, all it can do is make us look bad, because there's no really good way of doing it to make it all look the way
Right.
it needs to look. So it's like, there's being a
They think that
professional-
you didn't match it correctly.
Yeah, I didn't do it
or
right, or
blend it correctly, or
yeah. So if you have a wall that needs touch-ups, it's like just paint the wall. It's really not that much more paint. I mean, it's not, and it'll look a lot better for it. And then you can actually go pick better paint, because the builder grade stuff is terrible. I mean, it's might as well just be water with food coloring. Yeah, so that's one of our biggest ones. And then another one is that it's easy, that anyone can do it. It's if you start getting into more like bathrooms, anything with a higher sheen, on the paint, it's a little bit harder to apply. And you start getting the roller out, you start seeing roller marks or other things. But yeah, that's our biggest issue is I would say the touch-ups. So.
And y'all do is it called epoxy floors? Is
Yeah,
that
we
correct?
do epoxy and polyaspartic floors. Yes, that's another one where you can go really less expensive if you just go with the Home Depot kit, or if you have somebody come and apply the Home Depot kit. So that's a water-based product, and most of the time they last about 6 months until they start flaking off.
Oh no.
So you'll have a guy, they'll say it's a 2-car garage, he'll do it for $800. It's a $300 for the material, and he'll put it on, and then within 6 months he'll have it flaking up. So, it's just how much protection do you want? So I use for a garage, I use polyaspartic, which is it's stronger and it's more flexible than epoxy, and it actually is a lot faster curing or drying. So instead of, if I was going to use the old school that we did 10, 15 years ago, where it was straight epoxy, it would take me 4 days to epoxy your floor. Now I can grind your floor, apply the polyaspartic, put the flake on it, whatever color you'd like, and clear coat it all, and about a 2-car garage will be done in about 5 hours. So the next morning you'll be able to walk on it,
Wow.
and then after 3 days you can park on it.
And how long does it last?
We give a 15-year warranty if it's covered.
15 years
Mhm.
compared to 6 months.
Those guys aren't warranting anything.
Well, clearly.
they're just showing up. I mean, you'll never be able to get hold of them again.
And I can attest to him, because I had a customer even before the B&I stuff out of Hopkins.
Yes. Yeah.
We built a professional volleyball court for him, did a bunch of work, and he's one of my best customers, hands down. And he was talking about doing one of his garage floor, and I said, hey, my neighbor Ben Musselman does really good work. Give him a call. Ben went out there, gave a bid. He calls me, he goes, man, it seems a little high. And I was like, Mr. Hopkins, remember, you get what you pay for. And I said, I highly recommend them. I said, if they mess up, I said, just let me know. I'll go kick his door in or something. It'd be fine, you know.
You would, I know. Yeah.
And he goes, all right, man, we'll give him a shot. And he has nothing but rave reviews. And Ben went out there. He goes, man, this guy's cool. You know, he's a super laid back guy.
I like him.
But
yeah.
he went and did their floors and nothing but greatness. You know, and that was before the BNIs, before all the stuff is. But it's just referring people that you do good work with, and you know they do good work. And if they do bad work and they're your neighbor, that makes it even better because you just go next door, knock on the door, like, hey man, what's wrong with this?
You know exactly
But he
where to
doesn't
find
do bad work. But
And he would have no problem coming to tell me if I did bad work. Yeah, he'd take me out there by my ear and tell me to fix it if there was a problem.
I'd Kool-Aid man his back fence.
Yeah.
Bust through. But.
I hear
Right.
nothing but wonderful things about you and your dad. And
His dad's awesome.
Yeah, I've met his dad. He's a hoot.
Yeah, and then there's my brother. He's a little more quiet, but he's you get him going, he's pretty good too. He's funny. You guys would all like him too. So yeah, it's just us
Good
three.
family.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. Well, if I ever need something painted, I'm calling you. And if I ever need something cleared, I might call you. My husband likes to do it too, but maybe y'all
Pick the
can
husband first.
work together.
You can fix it.
I'll fix it.
Charge him double.
Yeah, that costs more.
You don't want to tell my husband that.
It costs more.
My husband is actually that's what he did for a living for a while. And he's been doing that since he was like 10 years old. That's kind of his thing.
I get so many phone calls like, well, my husband started doing this and he thought it was a good idea.
My husband's like a professional,
Yeah.
like he's an engineer and he's worked for big companies. He has a heavy equipment operator license, and he's built the HADs for like big industrial buildings, and I don't know. He
If
could
he
tell
ever
you
wants to
all.
retire, I'm hiring.
He doesn't do that right now. He's a project coordinator for this big company called ISAT.
Sounds boring.
They're building the Samsung
Project
building,
coordinator.
and
I have a forklift license
Certified?
20-something years ago.
No.
They just handed it to me. So you can drive this? Sure. There you go.
yeah, licenses.
So I got a question for everybody in the room. What did you do before you did what you're doing now?
Me,
Yeah. What did you do before you were working for the Linux or the title company?
real estate, and I owned a landscape
Real estate.
company.
David?
I was a banker, a small business lender.
So what made you make the jump to doing what you're doing now?
I think one of the jokes that we always used to tell as lenders is those who can do start their own business, those who can are small business lenders. And that's
pretty good.
Kind of as a fun game, my wife and I would always kind of talk through as we evaluate different clients of ours, thinking, oh, would that be a business that we'd be interested in doing one day? And you finally come to a realization that, hey, that one day should be today. And so I thought, okay, I'm wanting to commit to doing something, building something that I have control over and being responsible for. And I thought, like I mentioned, that dumpsters were something I couldn't break. You can break them, actually, but
I put the first dent in one of his
Yeah.
dumpsters.
Did you?
I own that.
Was there a tear in his eyes when he did it?
I
a
sent him
little bit,
pictures.
a little bit. He did send pictures, but no, it's been absolutely wonderful. I've never worked harder in my life, but never had so much fun and enjoyment out of what I'm doing right now. So
It's a stress, but it's a different stress.
absolutely, I'll
Well, 'cause
take
you're
it
doing
all
it for
the time.
yourself. You're building your own kind of legacy. It's for you.
He's got a lot of kids to pass it on to. He's got to buy a lot more dumpsters.
That's right. Got a lot of
A lot of
future
kids.
drivers there.
Yeah.
So.
Oh man, I don't even want to think about that. We've got one driving, another one right there, who actually I had to take to the hospital this morning because he broke his nose wrestling with his brother. We always tell him horseplay leads to tears.
It's a learning experience, though.
Yeah.
So you got to do it. Like we're obviously all three of us are boys, but we've all had our.
Yeah, as soon as I
Haircuts
get
and-
there, the nurse, it was a guy that helped us. And he's like, oh, yeah, I had brothers growing up. And, it's totally normal. Because I'm thinking, I don't want them to think like...
CPS is being called
Yeah.
in.
Right.
I hit him in the nose because he wouldn't want to get up to go to school. No.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
I threaten them sometimes. They just laugh at me. I'm like, I'll beat you. And they're like, okay, Mom. But they're obviously not scared of me. They were scared to tell me, though, that they were up late last night wrestling after I was asleep. And they didn't want to tell me. Because I'm always getting on to them, like, stop wrestling. Somebody's going to get hurt. Something's going to get broke.
But now they learn that line though, so it's like you got to find that line where you get hurt and know where to stop. So
Touch the stove. It's a hot stove. You only touch it so many times where you're like, hey, the stove's hot. Never touch it again. You know.
I just think it's pretty cool that, you know, as my 6-year-old's the one who got his nose broke, and my son that's turning 12 Thursday is the one who broke it. So, you know,
he just doesn't know his own strength yet. Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, it's like he's coming into his own. You know, he can fight back. He's getting to that age where he's, you know, strong.
You bring that 6-year-old to my house. I have 3 of them there. They can go out back and duke it out. So.
Yeah, you've got a bunch of kids.
Yeah, they're terrorists. Yes.
Put a bounce house over there and make it legit.
I know a bounce house guy. No, it's a.
You always know a guy.
I do. He's a neighbor of mine. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Those bounce house things freak me out.
Oh, I
That's
like
what my wife does. We have a bunch of them.
Do you?
Yeah.
I don't like them. I feel like they're just a haven of like germs and.
Oh, well, they get cleaned out though. It's like if you get it from a good company, you see them, they go in there, they wipe it down. It's clean.
Yeah, my wife's super hippie. She's got all the homeopathic cleaners and
me too.
non-peanut allergy
Vinegar.
filled cleaners and all this stuff to
Yeah.
spray on there.
Does she have like tons of gallons of vinegar and?
Oh, she's got everything. She mentioned some magical pump sprayer, and she's out there spraying it. She's like, it's hot. I'm like, well, yeah, it's summertime.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You should bring her sometime.
She's not a very good public, or I'm not saying she's not a good public speaker. She's just not keen on that.
No, you just keep her hidden away.
She hides herself. I don't keep her in the basement or anything. But
I see her every once in a while, so she does exist.
yeah, she's real.
Yeah, she's real.
She's real.
She's real.
Yeah.
And you have kids, right?
We have a goddaughter that we adopted.
Okay.
She lives with us.
How old is she?
She's 16.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
How's that?
It's going.
Is she pretty cool?
She's all
Mostly?
right. She's all right.
Little
I
moody?
won't ever tell her she's cool, but she's all right. But
She might need to hear it.
her come live with us has been good for her. So,
That's nice.
you know,
It's always nice to take care of
She's
somebody
just-
else's.
teenage girl going through high school, and
That's right.
she's pretty smart. Like, she graduate this year, but she's like, I don't know if I want to miss senior year. I want to enjoy all the senior year stuff. I'm like, hey, whatever you want to do, you know.
That's my 6-year-old. He took a summer school class. He took English. He got 100. And he's like, I should just take all my classes on there and graduate early. But then he's like, but I want to stay at school and hang out with my friends.
It's just like senior day and senior,
Yeah.
all the pep rallies, all that stuff.
Prom, walk the stage.
She's really come out of herself, so now she's starting to enjoy all that. And, you know,
She's
I'm happy
driving.
for her. Not yet. We're working on that.
Yeah, these kids these days don't want to drive. It's so weird. I'm like, hey, you want to drive? He's like, I'm good. I'm like, what?
Now, we were 16. We were trying to drive at 15 and 14. You know,
Yeah.
like, let us
14
out.
driving
Yeah.
baseball practice. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's-
let
My
us
mom
out.
was like, hey, go to the store and get some. I was like 15. She's like sending me to the grocery store. I didn't have a driver's. I didn't even have a permit. And I was going to the grocery store to get stuff. We lived in Caney Lake. Back then it was very country and like, you know, there was nothing out there. But
No, same with us. Like, like, go up here and get this. Go up here. Okay.
yeah.
Don't have to worry about
She'd
it.
be like, go buy me a pack of cigarettes. I'm like, what? You shouldn't be smoking.
Need some Virginia Slims? Okay, here you go.
I'm, like, I'm not buying you cigarettes, Mom.
It's for my mom, not me.
Yeah, I would not. I refused to buy her cigarettes. She'd get mad. But I didn't want her smoking. And then she'd quit, and then she'd start again, and then she'd quit, and then she'd start again. I don't know. I guess it was cool back in... Well, my mom was in high school. They had a smoking section at the high school. I went to the same school she went to. It was a middle school when I went there. But they had a whole area that was smoking section. It was, like, encouraged. It was good for
The
you.
good old days.
It's good old days.
Ugh. I'm so glad people don't smoke anymore. I'm so glad there's no smoking in places.
But now you're getting Rudy Tooty, Fresh and Fruity cinnamon bun when you're walking down the street from everybody vaping.
Oh, yeah, I don't like that either.
Isn't that gone now? Didn't they get rid of all the flavors? Are they still doing that?
No, they're
still
still
doing
doing it.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I just remember like going in restaurants when I was a kid and there was like cigarette smoke. It was so gross when you're trying to eat a meal.
But in their defense, though, back in the days when they were smoking like that, the cigarettes were probably a lot purer than they are
I
today.
don't know. Nobody wants to smell cigarette smoke when they're eating. It's gross. I did love my grandpa's pipe though. He had that cherry tobacco pipe, you know, and I go into his house and it was like, they should make a candle that smells like that. If you know anybody that makes candles, I need them to make me a healthy candle that doesn't have toxic chemicals in it.
Doesn't burn or anything.
So they make our candles, put wax and the cherry tobacco in there. Here you go.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you can do that. Sure.
It's a pretty good idea. Just throw it in there and mix it in.
Like a potpourri.
Yeah.
Using big words, I don't know.
Potpourri?
Yeah.
Potpourri. Everybody used that potpourri. That's funny. Whatever happened to potpourri? All the grandmas, every grandma had that.
They still have them. Even like I remember
With
when I
the
was growing up,
trays.
the pine cones, the
Yes.
scented pine cones.
I do love those.
I don't know those.
You ever had
The
those?
I don't know
cinnamon
those.
scented pine cones, when you go in the store and you can smell them, they're just like, smells so good. But after a while, it starts to give you a headache because it's
I'm
like
very
bad
sensitive
fragrance.
to that stuff. Yeah, I can't.
It's all fake fragrance. You need
Yeah.
like real. I like to put out like cinnamon sticks. Like buy
Yeah, we do
cinnamon
that.
sticks.
My wife does that. She's found some things because all the plugins and stuff they bother me. So she started.
Well, they're toxic.
Yeah,
and they
but I'm
catch
very
on fire.
sensitive to stuff like that. But I'm a sensitive guy, so
You're a very
she's
sensitive
got
guy.
Yeah, apparently. So yeah, she's fixed that. I've got cinnamons in there mostly during Christmas.
Is your wife pretty crunchy?
No.
No. Your wife, she crunchy?
Granola mom.
Like
No, I just make fun
essential
of my
oils
wife.
and
My wife's super
healthy.
hippie. Like when COVID was coming around, it was like chasing me around. I called it the her witch's brew. It was like onions and garlic.
Yeah, so she's
chopped up.
crunchy.
I don't know. I'm not calling her crunchy. You're not getting me in trouble. But
I got a spare room.
no, I just
Crunchy mom is like somebody who's like all into health stuff. Like
she's very into
makes her own
like,
laundry detergent. or-
yeah, well, she's crunchy because we just
Yeah.
started that venture
I'm
in
crunchy.
5-gallon buckets, and it smells great. But she everything like I
Yeah,
don't
it's
want to think
like-
with red dye in it because red dye
Yeah.
causes mental
she use
stuff,
the
and if
Yucca
your
app?
cashews cancel that out, and so we have a joke around the house like somebody's acting a little crazy, or like, hey, did you have your cashews today? And we'll shake the cashew bag at them, But
That's hilarious. Does she use a Yucca app? That Yucca app where you scan all the labels?
I think she's done that because
Yeah.
she's like a makeup junkie. Like she loves makeup, collects makeup, all this stuff. She's like upstairs, she's got a toolbox we painted black and pink, and it's full of makeup. She's got everything. She's big. Her makeup collection is kind of like a gun collection, I guess, is the way I kind of reference it.
Yeah, I'd rather have a gun collection.
But
I'm
she,
not.
yeah,
I wear
she does that.
very minimal makeup.
But she went through the whole thing because she gets like all these sales and all stuff. One day I walk in there, she's in the bathroom sitting there and has piles of stuff. It's like beep. Oh, nope, that's bad, not good for you. Trash. Boop, that's not good for you. Trash.
Oh, she is using the
yeah,
Yucca app.
she's done that. I
wanna
don't know if
meet,
it's that app.
I
but
want to meet her.
I'll give you her number.
Yeah. I love crunchy moms. Is your wife crunchy?
I would not categorize as crunchy. She likes, she watches a lot of TikTok, so we do go through phases of sourdough baking and
Been there, done that.
detergent, make your own detergent, but they're rather short-lived
Oh.
because it's fun TikTok, and then we realize this is a lot of hard work. Why don't we just buy the sourdough
And
bread?
my wife's like, "Did you shake up my 5-gallon drum of laundry detergent?" I don't shake it. It smells good. Whatever smell she's got in there smells amazing.
Essential oils, I'm sure.
I don't know. It smells really good.
Yeah, essential oils. That lady that came to visit this
Mm-hmm.
past week, the essential. I hope she joins because I need a dealer.
I need a dealer.
You take that wrong.
Well, I've got Jenny. She's my dealer for my natural. I use all her natural line of Mary Kay, and I love it. And so I need my people. It's just convenient if they can bring it to B&I, and I don't have to.
Well, you can do it outside B&I too. Not everything has
It's
to
just
revolve
I don't
around
have
B&I.
time to do that, to meet people.
Just Thursdays at 7. That's the only time you have.
Well, I'm already there, so it's convenient. I guess if you want to bring me anything to sell me, you just come to B&I. Come visit B&I.
I'm a buyer from 7:30 till 9 a.m. After that, I'm busy.
Yes, for sure.
I've got one for you to bring it to. Did you, through the title company, have any experiences in terms of how the hurricane?
Oh yes, we
maybe
did.
affect-
Actually, that's a very good question.
Just to bring us right back.
Issue when we have any kind of major storms is it can delay closing because the lenders will require a new inspection. And so then they have to delay closing. Sometimes they have to pay money to delay closing or to keep the lock in their rate if they have a good rate, which lately that hasn't been quite the issue. But we did have rate drop recently. And so, if they're trying to lock that rate or if they had a buy down rate and they're trying to keep it, they do have to pay for an extension. Sometimes you have to pay for an extension on the contract because if they are like a lot of people are in contingency, they're selling their home to buy a new home. And then it does cause a lot of.
But that would be worth it for them. Like I say, a hurricane came through. That'd be worth them to pay, an extra, say, $500,000 or however much it is, just to ensure that there's no storm damage in between.
Yeah, so I
inspections.
mean, it would just a lot of times, like if you have Keenan in our group, and he has to come out and just do a quick re-inspection to make sure there was no damage from the hurricane. He's not going to charge the full price of the original inspection.
Yeah, just to make sure, hey, everything's still the same,
Correct.
still good.
And it's just kind of like come back, and he and a lot of inspectors want to do that anyway because they could be liable for
Didn't think about
saying
that.
that,
Makes sense.
everything was fine and then it wasn't. And I know that that's really rare, but there's a lot of people out there. No, I say a lot. There are a few people out there that are sue happy, and
There's only
the
takes one.
Kramers of the world that
only
want to
takes
just
one.
sue to make a living.
Because they still do the deal, right, where you can't close if it's in the Gulf of Mexico or something like that because of insurance or, right?
I don't know about
Something
that kind
like-
of stuff. I don't do a lot in the Gulf. I don't deal with that.
I've heard that too.
No, I mean, if a storm is in the Gulf of Mexico, it's like they
Oh, they
lock
stop
down. Yeah, they
everything.
stop everything, right? Something-
No, we were closing deals. We were trying to get them closed.
Okay.
We're like, hurricane's coming. Let's get it closed.
Yeah.
Let's get it done. Because then, and the seller wants to close because they don't want to be liable, right?
Right.
They want to be out of there. But there is a line where
Okay.
they cut us off. They're like, hey, and until we get that email, at 5 o'clock we're done. It's usually at 5 o'clock. They're not going to call and be like, okay, it's 10:30, you're done. I've never seen that, but I don't work. I'm not a licensed escrow officer either. I don't work in the office, so they are. If you call Christy, she's our branch manager. She's been doing this over 25 years. Or you call Gwen at the office. They have been doing this for so long that they've seen so many things that they could answer those questions really well. I'm kind of I'm providing the information about our title and helping people with
The connector.
marketing and getting resources. So when a realtor, needs you or needs you, they call me and say, hey, who do you know? And I refer y'all out when I can, as much as I can, because they're looking for good people. A lot of people have moved here too, and they don't know. This place is growing like crazy. Montgomery County, I think I just saw something that said, is now again the fastest growing county in the U.S.
The work here, and I'll tell everybody, it's great. There's enough room on the table for everybody to eat. As long as you're
For
good at what
sure.
you're doing and you stick to what you say you're going to do, there's enough room on the table for everybody here. It's growing so fast. Been working in Waller. I've been to Magnolia this past week a lot, more than I've been in the past 4 or 5 years, and it's grown so much. I was like, God, I don't recognize
Yeah.
249. I don't recognize any of that stuff through there right now. I was
Yeah, like
golly.
Livingston, Cold Springs,
Cold Springs, New Waverly's starting to grow.
all that.
They got a
area.
lot of big neighborhoods, which I love those ranch neighborhoods. That's my bread and butter for land clearing. 2 5-acre tracts in and out.
You don't feel bad cutting all those trees down.
I feel no remorse.
What about the root systems?
No remorse.
Makes me sad. I'm a tree hugger. I'm definitely crunchy. When I was in landscaping, I would try to save every tree I could. I would try to talk the customer into saving every tree I could.
No, don't get me wrong. Like, I don't enjoy going there and clear cutting everything. Like I was like, we want everything clear, and I'll get in there and clear it out. Even like we did David's. Someone's like, hey, that's a really nice oak tree.
Yeah, I don't
I was like,
cut
but
those
it's not
down.
going to work for what we need to do, so we have to take it out. And I was like, we
no.
could if you want to move this over. He's like, well, I really don't want to spend extra money moving all my gravel over. So we just took a tree out. It's
We
cheaper.
have plenty of other oak trees.
He's got 20.
have a lot
He's
of
got
oak
20
trees?
something acres, so he's
Where's your
good.
property at?
Southeast of Conroe in the old Conroe oil field area.
I don't know where that is, I guess. Southeast. Like, what is that by?
Oh, it's close to like it was at New Caney High School area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Nice out there, quiet.
It's very nice. Yeah, we really like it.
I didn't realize there was a lot of oak trees over there. There's like patches, weird patches of like
I wouldn't
nothing
clear.
but pine trees, and then you'll have some areas that have like oak trees, and then you have no trees.
I wouldn't clear a 2.5 acre commercial place over off 249 and 99. Most cedar trees I've ever seen in 2.5 acre lot, and they're like 2.5 foot around. Most I've ever seen anywhere around
Really,
here.
I grew up with cedar trees. They're all over the hill country.
I like cedar.
I love cedar, like furniture and closets and trim and mulch. Keeps bugs away. And it's super hard. It's very strong.
Yeah. You don't see it around. I mean, you're predominantly scrub
Wait.
oaks, pines.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
allergic to pine.
yeah.
I don't like pine.
I'm allergic
I
to
didn't
poison
know-
ivy. So I'm in a great
Well, everybody's
business.
allergic
Yeah,
to
you are.
poison ivy.
I'm super allergic.
Did you know that the oil from poison ivy, if you scrub it off your skin within 6 hours, you typically won't have a reaction?
Well, I've learned that, and then my crunchy wife has got all the. There's a stuff called Techno. It's like the most expensive stuff you buy for poison ivy. They have washcloths now, like almost like not
Yeah,
baby.
you have
not
to get
baby
the oil
wipes.
off.
Yeah, she's like, here. Well, if I'm out there running a chainsaw or knock trees. I mean, that's how I get it. But I'm doing that all day. Then when I get home, I have to jump in and take a hot shower. She's like, well, that's the worst thing you do is take a hot shower, which I take a hot shower anyways. And then I wind up just covered in it, and I'm
Yeah.
sleeping on the couch for 2 weeks. So, part of doing business, I guess.
Yeah, maybe you should, as soon as you get home, scrub it off
I mean, that's a good idea.
within 6 hours.
Within 6 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, we used to have a lot of poison ivy issues. And then when I was working in landscaping, when we were camping, growing up in Canyon Lake, it was everywhere. Or just like in the hill country, there's poison ivy or poison oak all over the place. And I saw this video somebody sent me one time. They're like, oh, yeah, you didn't know? And I'm like, I didn't know. So, and then after that, we just always make sure we scrub if we even think we came in contact. And I haven't had any issues. Thank goodness.
I've never
Poison
done
ivy.
that.
Still in
And
recovery.
also, I learned that I had to sanitize my tools too, because then you would go back and touch the tools and it's on the tools. The oil is left there. So it can be not fun. Somebody recently was just telling me they had poison ivy and I was telling them. They're like, well, too late. I'm already broke out. Maybe it was Jolie. Remember Jolie?
Mm-hmm.
Was in our group. Maybe it was her. I can't remember now. Anyway. Well, guys, I really appreciate y'all coming on today. And if anybody needs help with storm cleanup or anything, if you're flipping a house or building a storage or any kind of paint, dumpsters, tree removal, land clearing, dirt pushing. He loves to plant trees, by the way.
That's his
Colin.
favorite, yeah.
I think that was the one thing he said not to say.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He's like, Karen, I hate you.
Flower beds.
I'm just kidding. No, Preston, he will plant a tree if you are already his customer and he loves you, but it's not his favorite thing to do. Clearly, he just likes to cut them down. So I'll come plant the tree. I like trees. Trees are fun. Anyway, well, thank you, everybody, and we'll see y'all next time.
Thank you.